little third-rate person whose whose literary worth is zero and whatever, and so they sneer at him all the time and put him down. They say he can't write English, blah blah blah. There's the other side which can't have enough of him. I mean, his books now sell in millions of copies. He's a marketing phenomenon. And so I do think we need to reconcile these two notions and arrive at what we are seeing and what we must do. Two things strike me. One, that I think that we often confuse popular literature with classical literature, or with high literature. The world over, the really sort of classy books have very few and committed readers. They're never bestsellers. But you also have bestsellers, which you have pulp fiction, you have detective, crime, thriller, travelogues, all that. Now, Chetan Bhagat is one person who has taught the Indian market about the various segments that exist and how you can use one without threatening the other. He's a very clever chap. He's a marketing chap. He's an investment banker, and he's brought all those theories of marketing and whatever into promoting himself as a brand. So now Chetan Bhagat, more than a writer, is a brand who stands for a successful, not terribly talented writer, but yet who somehow, like Anna Hazare, has his hand on the pulse of the people. He goes to small towns. He's not concentrating on metropolitan towns or the British Council or the big sort of venues at the India International Centre, Habitat Centre, because he knows that that is not his readership. His core readership is the aspirational generation from small towns. The great divide, Kamala, in India is now not caste anymore. It doesn't really matter. Caste is almost invisible except in pockets and in villages. But the great divide is English. And everyone wants to be a sophisticated speaker of English, or at least a competent speaker of English. So wherever you've had a situation where you can boast about, oh, I read a book in English, to a girlfriend who's, never read English, who can't even sign her own name in English, you suddenly elevate yourself socially. And I think that is the phenomenon which is behind the huge popularity. And Chetan Bhagat knows it. So when he launches his books, he goes to small towns or to malls, where the kind of aspirational middle class young people go, to colleges in little towns. You should see the kind of rock star status that he's given. There's no point in us sneering at him and saying, but who reads Chetan Bhagat? Have you read Chetan Bhagat? I don't read Chetan Bhagat. Who cares whether you read it?
Have you read him?
No. But I'm one of those who think that I'm too la-di-da to read. But I must say that I admire the young man, not for his literary worth, but for his marketing savviness. I wish that our marketing people in publishing houses would sit up and analyze this and understand that you need to read the books in order to position them properly. They don't read their own books, which is why very good books are often forgotten. They just get left behind somewhere because you haven't been able to position them or promote them in the way they need to be promoted.
So what are you going to do differently for your next book?
But I'll always be a foolish woman. I will never promote my own book. I don't know how to. But I do hope that somebody in the marketing division of whichever publishing house I go to is wiser than I am and knows what to do with my book. Because when I first wrote Diddi, my mother, the memoir of my mother, which went on to become by word of mouth a very sort of popular book, Penguin described it for years as fiction, then as non-fiction, then as history, then as biography. They never made up their mind what it was exactly. And so, that was its USP, that it's traveled so many spaces. Now, any savvy marketing person would have been able to promote it so. But they weren't able to. So the fiction people said, but this is not fiction. The non-fiction people said, but this is fiction. So, everyone was terribly confused. And it just had a karma of its own, Kamala. I do believe that my mother guided its success through whatever it did.
And for Aparadhini, the one that you translated.
Well, Aparadhini is again one of those poor things that has fallen by the wayside, but I believe in the karma of books. Somebody somewhere will discover it and read it.
Thank you.
Thank you.